Hey guys, and welcome to a legendary game of Total War Warhammer 3 featuring a build so disgusting I don't even really want to watch it again, but unfortunately I was there live and I'm going to have to pass on that second-hand trauma to you guys by making you watch this replay. It's actually a really good fun game. It is a glorious training game actually. I've been training a lovely guy called Frederick who's been getting better and better, and he's going to be bringing the force of Grand Cathay here up against one of his training partners Logic and the Nurgle, and this is one of the disgusting Nurgle builds that I do speak of, and it's quite common up against Grand Cathay, so let's delve into this. For the main centerpieces of this army, it is going to be Double Soul Grinder of Nurgle, as well as Kugarth Plaguefather, and the reason you do this is they can actually outtrade cannons relatively effectively, taking out the artillery crews, and then you can kite against Grand Cathay, which is always a little bit scary. If you're being kited by Nurgle, you tend to be in a bad position. We also have a load of Exalted Plague Bearers in the front, including the Festering Stooges, backed up by some more Plague Bearers, and a couple of Furies dancing up in the skies. For Frederick's forces, over on the far side here, he does have a lovely little standard Grand Cathay build, and he's got a big decision to make. So he has a Grand Cannon in the back, as well as Crane Gunners, and what he's going to have to do here is basically sacrifice the Grand Cannon. Now, you can defend with a unit of Cavalry, for example, or the Flyers, to try to get value from it, but there is no point sitting in a box. So what I want to see is big pushes straight out the gate into this Nurgle army. It is your standard stuff, a bucket ton of Jade Warriors, backed up by Jade Warrior Crossbowmen, and we've got some Peasant Longsword in the back. I love the defensive formation of the Jade Lancers, not looking to whip around the flanks, but instead protect their valuable assets. Up in the skies, you have the Righteous Lancers of Wei Jin. Really impressed by these guys so far. They're picked quite often. Now, I don't think they're the most powerful of Regiment of Renown that have come in through latest pack, but they are one of the most needed for Grand Cathay, giving them some much needed punch in the air game. We have a Drowned-Blooded Lord as well leading the line. We have the Talons, we have the Slow, as well as, I believe, the Ancestral Warrior Summon. So without further ado, let's get this underway. Now, there is going to be some mistakes in this game, of course. Frederick has been getting better and better, but he is still a newish player, and we will be pointing him out as we go. But it looks like the gambit has already been sprung, so this is lovely stuff. Immediately, Frederick starts pushing the enemy army, not waiting, to try and outtrade the opponent's superior artillery. And I've seen so many new players do this, where they've got a game plan, they have a cannon, and then they're outrange, and they just sit there with their cannon praying something happens. But this is much better and being far more proactive. There's also one unit of Jade Lancers being kept at the back to help protect. Now, it looks like Logic has gone for a gambit here, so he can either eviscerate the enemy crossbowmen, which is the smart play because they're the ones which are going to deal the most damage to you, or do you try and take that out the Grand Cannon first? Now, if this works, it's fantastic for you, but it is a bit of RNG, and if you do not take out that Grand Cannon crew quick enough, they're going to get some fantastic value, and then the crossbowmen are also going to be on top of you. Looks like we do have a fight up in the skies. This is actually a lovely little bait by Logic. I love this so much. So the Chaos Furies look like they've been caught rather than landing, but actually it's to hold firm and allow the Festering Stooges to rain in some missile pressure on the Righteous Lancers, and just for the price of your Furies there, you devastate the enemy flying core, and that is some massive damage there. It looks like the Long Mars are trying to move away now. Little tad too late, down to half HP. Really nice stuff there. Nice little bait and switch coming in by the forces of Nurgle. Once you get moving though, those flying shots are quite a lot less effective, but still got that unit down to a nearly third HP. Grand Cannon is still firing, and it looks like the Soul Grinders are currently switched on different targets. So some Soul Grinders are focused on the Crane Gunners, and some are focused on the Crossbowmen, others are going for the cannon, and this is a mistake. You definitely want to focus fire where physically possible and get the most of everything. We do get a Stream of Corruption go down the line as well, trying to catch the Crane Gunners and the Jade Warriors. There's some decent damage to both, and it looks like this pocket may indeed break. Crane Gunners are doing some nice long-range pressure, and Kugarth is certainly feeling the burn as the Crossbowmen do indeed get into range. We can see the Soul Grinders have fallen back, but that Grand Cannon is lively. Still all 4 artillery pieces, reckon shots down range. This may be one of the greatest Grand Cannons of all time, the grandest of cannons, firing out at Kugarth, and there's not that much I can get into the back line anymore. Of course, we have this one unit of Chaos Furies, we have the Righteous Lancers, and even in their beat-up state, should be able to fend off the enemy, at least you would hope. Nice pressure is coming in on the Soul Grinder as Cathay continue this slow push style of play, almost dwarvish-like in its maneuverability here. And they are going to be moving forwards as the Soul Grinder continues to focus down. Looks like the Crane Gunners at the moment. Those crossbows starting to go down as well. They are relatively healthy still. Now, the Chaos Furies are swooping into the back line, trying to make a dash for it and shut down that Grand Cannon. The race is on, boys! Flap those wings and fly! Fly faster! But the Righteous Lancers of Wei Jin are able to catch them quick enough to break them down. That gambit did not pay off, allowing the Grand Cannon to basically be uncontested now, particularly because the Soul Grinders have almost fallen back out of range of its presence, and it's got 0 kills so far, but I guarantee its value is skyrocketing, and it looks like it is indeed 1.7k value so far. Jade Lancers can play it really aggressive now. There's no need to sit back and guard the cannon, where there's nothing going to be pushing upon it, and the cannon is just focusing down Kugarth all day long. A disgusting stream of corruption goes down. Lovely play there by Logic. That's going to do some big damage to those units. The Plague Bearers do engage in the front, but the Crossbowmen are still alive, and this is very crucial. They can now focus on these units relatively effectively. We do have Plague Bearers push forward. Soul Grinders could move into hand-to-hand combat up against the Crossbowmen, pushing forward to take them down, but that is going to be given up on the assassination attempt of the enemy Grand Cannon, which is down to half HP, but still has all of its cannons left, which is quite fortunate, it must be said, for the Grand Cafe player. Kugarth is launching some beautiful little Nurglings into the enemy, going downrange there onto some crossbowmen, exploding them, doing some lovely damage as you'd expect, and cannon shots though go whizzing by, and Kugarth is taking so much damage right now. Fleshy Abundance has been popped. He may have to vamoose his way into the trees a little bit. We get an early Ancestral Warrior summon go down, looking to bring Kugarth to justice, but he should be able to cut away from that. Lovely stream of corruption is going to break the Jade Warriors. That will allow the Festering Stooges to move into the back line, that juicy underpocket of the Grand Cafe build, but some Peasant Longswordmen simply move up to intercept. Once again, a lovely play. On the left-hand side, we have Jade Lancers engaged with some glorious Exiled Plague Bearers who are in guard mode rather wisely, and they're going to be launching shots into the Jade Lancers doing massive damage. It's good to get the charge in. You can see they did significant damage. They are going to have to pull back, so a nice little bit of cycle charging on this right-hand flank. Soul Grinders continue to pepper down the enemy from range. They're running relatively low on ammunition, and the Ancestral Warriors have actually caught Kugarth here. He is going to be turning his bootay around and getting out of there as swiftly as possible there. I think the Jade Lancers might even be able to whip around and maybe pin him in place, but probably not worth it if the Ancestral Warriors hit with the Curse of the Slug. Instead, we're going to get some lovely rear attacks here into the enemy and doing some pretty juicy damage. We get a Talons in the deep there, catching out the Plague Bearers, doing some nice damage, and the Festering Stooges just fight for an absolute age despite being bunched up on. A little bit too much bunching up on here. We like to see some units move around, and it looks like that's actually what's happening here. Spearmen move around to a flanking position, crossbowmen raining hell down from afar. It is all going good so far for Grand Cafe, but you can never really count out Kugarth. He can solo basically an infinite amount of infantry. Soul Grinder is a little beat up here, as are the Exotic Plague Bearers. Looks like they were able to take down the Jade Lancers, though, which is a nice catch from the Nurgle player. The Righteous Lancers are falling back and are trying to get into a decent position. It seems like the Plague Bearers are falling in droves now. Even the Festering Stooges being surrounded and just peppered by crossbow fire is really starting to add up. Look at the Peasant Longswordmen. They don't want to get too close. Just puke and bile going in all different directions. You get a little bit of that on you. It's not going to be a fun 24 hours. But the Peasant Longswordmen doing a decent job, though. The Festering Stooges will eventually be crumbling here, which isn't something you see it very often. They do tend to last an absolute age. Soul Grinder is going to continue to push back the crossbowmen. Grand Cannon is continuously firing. Still 4 cannons there. Looks like Kugarth rather wisely has taken the fight to the tree line, and he should have enough about him, you'd think, to fend off the Righteous Lancers, particularly with the help of the glorious Exiled Plague Bearers. But actually the Righteous Lancers managed to get up in the sky very quickly there. A couple of them stuck down low. They are pinned in as well by all kinds of poison and nastiness, but somehow managed to escape. They are very swift indeed. Looks like Jade Lance going for a last-ditch suicide charge into the Plague Bearers, maybe alongside the Righteous Lancers to try and get a last little bit of value now. Soul Grinder's getting really aggressive. I like this play quite a bit coming in from the Nurgle player. Immediately jump on top of these units. We do get a stream of corruption, which just rips havoc through the Peasant Longspearmen lines there, puking their own guts out now. Somehow that Grand Cannon's still alive, and I think the Soul Grinder may have had enough of him and actually going to push back here to shut him down, continuously popping shots into Kugarth, doing some pretty gnarly work here. Crossbowmen are running desperately low on ammunition, and there still is 2 big single entities and Kugarth. If he can get some big heals on the Soul Grinders, him himself is near his healing cap, so he'll probably get that just by casting spells. But if we're going to a big heal on a Soul Grinder, there's honestly a chance they can turn this around, because the Grand Cafe forces do like to run away from giant terrorcores and monsters. We do get a Storm of Shadows go down on the Soul Grinder, trying to buy time for the crossbowman to escape. And this bold general probably needs to actually get down and dirty, get his little mitts dirty and jump the Soul Grinder. We do have a glorious Storm of Shadows going down. Shimmer Corruption in the distance is just getting some really glorious work. And look at Kugarth, 125 kills, despite being focused down all day long by the cannon. Cannonball shots bouncing off his thick and juicy flesh. Soul Grinder's been slowed by the Storm of Shadows, trying to buy time for the Crane Gunners to whip some shots in, and they certainly can do that. They are running a little bit low on men, though. Only 7 models left, and they're going to be popping shots into the Soul Grinder. Still, damage is damage at the end of the day. A lot of crossbowmen are being forced back here, and we do have the Grand Cannon still reaping pretty good havoc down the line. Kugarth is getting a fleshy balance. Interestingly enough, popped on himself. I guess keeping the general alive was rather crucial in this idea, but I think a Soul Grinder getting healed up would have been nice as well. Looks like we're getting an Ancestral Warrior summon from the deep. Grand Cannon shots continue to poke in Soul Grinder, one of which is actually starting to go pretty low now. Would have loved an abundance on him. The other Soul Grinder is going to be shutting down the Grand Cannons at last. Only 3 artillery pieces left. 1 down, 3 to go. Soul Grinder's doing some pretty decent damage here. The other Soul Grinder is also pushed on top of some crossbowmen. But I love this bold play with the general, hunting down the scary single entities with him. Not doing bad whatsoever. It does look like Kugarth has just absolutely wrecked these big batch of infantry here. Bounce power is slowly coming back a little bit into the more even area. Exiled Plague Bearers are still alive. Kugarth is at his healing cap here. Looks like the Ancestral Warrior was actually cancelled the first time and is now going to be coming in. Kugarth immediately tries to retreat. Jade Lancers were putting him in place, but no, they actually decide to fall back. Oh no, they're terrified and routed, and that's so unfortunate. Kugarth just needs to fall back behind the Exiled Plague Bearers, ensure those halberdiers can't get any value from him. So Grinder's doing some lovely just hit and run style tactics here. Cycle charging as much as possible. Good experienced Torment play there. And the Grand Cannon does look a little bit worse for wear. And yeah, that Soul Grinder should be able to bounce around and do some decent damage. Looks like he's going to focus down at the crossbowman where possible. Kugarth is able to escape, and he actually has a bucket ton of ammunition left. If he is able to fall back and use up that ammunition, this is probably a Nurgle's game, because he can do so much damage with it and then finish off the scraps in melee. Unfortunately for him, he's going to be stuck in combat soon, because the Soul Grinder, his only kind of friend and bastion of strength, is getting hunted down by the Dragon-Blooded Lord. Looks like we get a Storm Shadows go down. Really impressed with the Storm Shadow play, actually. It must be said by Frederick today. And he's slowing down the Soul Grinder. Negative 45 speed. Crossbowmen are running away, but Jade Warriors and Peasant Longswordmen are on their way. And it looks like this Soul Grinder may indeed go down here. Now, despite having a load of ammunition, Kugarth simply cannot escape anymore. He's stuck in melee, and that's really rough, because if he could use up all this ammunition, bear in mind this Ancestral Warrior unit doesn't exist in reality. It's soon to be disappearing. And if he could just do some big shots on like the Spearmen and stuff, I think he may be able to carry this. But due to the fact he's at his healing cap, he can't use his range, and the crossbowmen are picking him apart deftly there with some lovely accuracy. It looks like he may be going down. Gale still got 232 kills despite being focused down all day long by a cannon, but he does get one Nurgle and throw off just into the rear of those Jade Lancers, enough to break them. The army losses does kick in, and the mighty Kugarth does crumble. I think with the Dragon-Blooded Lord, it was probably all over unless he could get his ammo in there. So, you know, I respect the army losses there. Getting some big shots in at the end. He does put Plague Father's Oriation on himself. Storm Shadows goes down, slowing him down, and the infantry will start to surround him and drag down the dreaded demon. It's so funny. He has a sliver of health, but that's still like 1,000 HP. It's so weird. He's the tankiest boyo indeed. He goes out with a vomit, though, which you love to see. Just vomiting over the enemy, loud and proud. Look at that for a glorious end screen. And what an awesome game. So well played to these lads. It was, again, from a training session I do. If you want to find out more, feel free to DM me. I do some training sessions. And Frederick has been getting better and better. He's been playing Logic quite a bit, and Logic's been winning, obviously, quite a few of them, being a more experienced player. So it's good one for Frederick to get one over the old dog, managed to take him down with a really lovely build as well. I really love the aggression he played with. I see so many new players. It's a real problem where if they have a Grand Cannon and Crane Gunners, they look across the field, they see Soul Grinders and Kugarth, they panic, they sit there, they try to out-trade and shoot, they fail, and then, Kugarth and Soul Grinders have absolutely free reign to fire down the ranks of the Grand Cafe forces, at will. But very well played to these guys. Kugarth, despite being completely obliterated from cannons all day, still got 2.6k value, which is rather wild. But let's see what the Grand Cannon got. 3,333 damage of value. Certainly a standout. The Crossbowman as well. 2.2k value, 2.1k value. Really lovely stuff by both these lads, and I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure to leave a big fat juicy thumbs up, as well as comment down below what you thought of the battle, what was your favourite moment in the battle, and what was your favourite play in the game. Feel free as well to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Really helps out quite a bit and keeps you guys up to date on when I release glorious content. The links down below: Twitch, Patreon and Discord. But that's it from me today. Hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.